in for CGA, which is a Clapsaddle Garber Associates engineering firm. My previous life, about a year ago, I was a county GIS coordinator and IT director for a bazillion years. And and I'm currently serve as the secretary for IGIC. And so we wanted to talk to everybody today about Slack and using Slack and getting people on Slack. I am the first to tell you that I am by no means an expert on Slack. I can see the benefits of it very much being for going for, I'm sorry, my kid just walked in. Goodness. Okay. Anyway, so I use Slack and I think it's great. We really need to provide a community where we can collaborate with our fellow GIS people in the state of Iowa in a formal and informal kind of way. We've had an email list for, since IGIC started, and that has a lot of benefits, but it's not always the best way to have a conversation. And especially in 2020 with not having as many in-person meetings and chances to network, get to know our fellow GIS people. This is really a way to really help facilitate that networking. I've asked Matt Boyk to join me on this. He's been using Slack with a couple of different organizations for quite a while. And I thought the two of us can be a little bit more of a facilitators of this discussion. I'm sure there are people who are in this meeting that probably know way more than I do. So I wanted to give them information about the IGIC Slack and to get feedback from you guys on the kind of things that you would like to see us use it for and how to organize it and that kind of stuff. So this is definitely going to be one of those, we're looking for a little bit more of a discussion, group discussion kind of thing. If you look over and if you open up the chat window in our meeting, WebEx meeting here, you'll see a URL, iowa-geo-info. It's kind of long, but we played around. There were some things that, I mean, obviously igic.slack.com would have been awesome, but that had already been taken. So that was the web address to join the Slack. I have sent out links through the email list several times, and I will say now, if somebody wants a direct link, if they're having trouble getting onto Slack or onto the organization's Slack and want a direct link, just to reach out to me, and I will make sure and send that to you. And so to start with, we have sent, you know what, actually, I am going to put a copy and paste for anyone. Okay, so the link that I just shared is, if you click on that, it's kind of a link to join the Slack. So it's got the web address in there and it's an invitation. So that should make it a little bit easier to join. This is the link that I've sent out periodically through the IGIC email list. The Slack that we've signed up for IGIC is free. So that means, and this makes me laugh, but it's only going to save the most recent 10,000 messages. So we have a long ways to go until we get to 10,000 messages. But it is like kind of like a long-term temporary solution. So, you know, this isn't the place to say, hey, I saw that in Slack like about a year ago and go search for it. It may not be there because things as more messages and activity happens on Slack, older stuff may drop off eventually. It'll take us a while to get there. We started this, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Let's see if I can copy this. I wanted to, I think we've used 408 out of 10,000 messages. So, you know, we got a ways to go before we're going to fill anything up. So this is open to all IGIC members. We do ask that if someone joins our Slack community that we also have them sign up on our registration page through the IGIC website, get on the email list and stuff. So that kind of helps us track our membership. But it is open to anybody who wants to join, same as our email list. And probably the easiest way to do that is to contact me or Josh Obrick. If you talk to somebody else and you want to get them involved in IGIC or they're new, just go ahead and feel free to reach out to any of us on the executive committee. We'll get them set up. Not a problem whatsoever. And once you do sign up on the Slack channel, I do think it's a great idea if you put in your full name, and we will be displaying full names by default. Part of using Slack is to kind of get to know each other, and I'm terrible at names, and I know I've been around forever, and my name, and I still struggle remembering everybody's name. So I'm sure if you're new, it's that much harder. So when you do join Slack, do put in your full name, and you can pick a display name. I think from an organizational point of view, though, I think I did set it to show people's full names and not nicknames. It's a little more formal, but like I said, we're trying to do networking, and I think it's important. We're just a large enough organization that I think it's hard to see nicknames and things like that. I also really encourage people to put a photo, on their Slack. I know we're not always comfortable using personal photos in social media, but we're really spread across the state, and we're really spread across the state, and I think it's very important that that people kind of put a name to the face, and it'll make when we get to have our in-person meetings and conferences again really useless. So this is partly, there's no rule that says you have to, but I think it really does add to that familiarity of the organization if you can put something like a good representative photo of yourself. And then there's also a place for you to put your job title and your organization. And while I'm talking here, I am going to share my screen. So what I'm going to do first is share the desktop app, which I'll talk about here in a second. But this is what you're seeing now is the desktop app. And so some of these things that I did, you can edit in your profile. So when you set it up, these are the things that you can do. So I put in my title, who I work for, my full name, and then you can put in a phone number. I chose not to. And then your time zone. So that's completely optional. But this would let anybody who, especially, I changed jobs a year ago. So people may know who I am, but they may not know, because that's a really weird name of a company, who I work for. And so it kind of helps people put a name to my face. So right now, we as an organization can assign roles. And so part of what I'm looking back at for feedback from you guys is we've made the executive committee for IGIC. We kind of set things up, and I want to make sure that I've included everybody that I need to include. So right now there is a primary owner of the IGIC Slack, and that is actually tied to an IGIC Gmail account. So it's not tied to any one person's email address. And I think that, of course, that's really important as someone were to change emails or change jobs or move or retire or whatever. It's kind of tied to not any one person. Currently, the owners of the space are Josh and myself. And so I don't know if we want to extend that to maybe a couple more people. And the workspace administrators is currently the executive committee. So it's Josh and myself, Penny, Evan, and BJ. Are the administrators, and I believe we'd be the only people then that can create new channels and do some I think admins, we can add new users or invite users and kind of do some more customization of the Slack site. And I guess I would entertain right now, if there's anybody else that has a burning desire or a Slack kind of expert that wants to be involved, or if there's anyone else that we think that we need to make sure is part of the administration. Does anyone have any options or opinions about that? I'm just looking at a bunch of names and mute buttons.
Yeah, this is Matt Boyk with Story County, and yeah, I just want to echo what if anybody knows Slack a little bit better than both of us, feel free to pipe up and help everybody out. It's it's fairly intuitive interface, and it's fairly easy to use. So once you start poking around, you can learn a lot kind of on your own. But But yeah, we're willing to, hear from anyone.
Excellent. We want to make sure that everybody feels ownership towards Slack, and that it is a collaborative environment. So I am showing right now the desktop app, and if in the chat, you can either just Google desktop app, or I lost my chat. Second here. When I shared my screen, it kind of changed some things. Matt, maybe you could stick that in the chat for me. Anyway, so you can download an Android app, iPhone or iOS app, or like a Windows desktop app, and that's what I've used here. But one of the things that we do like about Slack is that it does have the functionality. Some people are a little more restricted in their work environments to install apps, and so there is you can go to the online the io-go.info-council, and you can log in through a web browser. So there is the option to access Slack without having to actually install something. And you can even enable notifications. You can see down here at the bottom, it says that I can install notifications and still use it through the web browser. So they kind of give some nice flexibility. It's not tied to any one person's, login, like a Microsoft Office account or Facebook or social media account. You can create an account separately. You can create it with a personal email, or you can have one created with a work email. It really offers a lot of flexibility. So that's one of the reasons we kind of thought Slack might be a good solution for creating like a community and networking. And so, yeah, you can use it through the browser, the desktop app. I do know, I've heard of a couple people whose IT have blocked when I've sent the invite out. When I've sent the invite, sometimes it does get into someone's spam folder. So, there's the normal roadblocks that are sometimes set up with setting up a social media type network. So if you do encounter any problems, I do encourage you to reach out to me. If I don't know the answer, we'll figure out someone else. There's a lot of smart people. We'll figure out the answer and make sure that there's a way for people to get involved. You can also install it on like an iPad or your phone, that kind of thing, depending on how much you want to be notified. And that kind of gets into, I'm going to jump. So one of the things that is really important is it's great to have communication with our fellow GIS colleagues, but in order for it to really be successful, you have to find that happy medium between knowing what's going on and not being bothered too much about what's going on. So I think setting your notifications is really important. When I first started using Slack with a different organization, everybody was really into, they were talking about it, and I didn't really see the point. And what happened is once I set some notifications up so that I saw the conversations that were going on, it really helped me feel like I wasn't missing things. Up until that point, I was just jumping on Slack when I thought of it, and then I could see all these past conversations. And that caught me up on maybe what people were talking, but it didn't really make me feel involved in the conversation. So setting notifications on some certain channels or certain topics that are important to you will really kind of make you feel like if someone is trying to reach out to a colleague or share something, you'll see it. Now, that being said, sometimes you need to quiet down the notifications, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. You can pause your notifications. So if you're going to be in a meeting with your supervisor, or just you want to focus and you want quiet, you can just put on do not disturb. So that's really important. And you can also do a notification schedule. So if you do decide to put it on your phone, and you could have it only be something that you see or get notifications between like 8 and 5 Monday through Friday, maybe not on the weekends. So there's lots of options there. And at the same time, there's also some options. You can do notifications that allow you to see certain channels. You can set a schedule. You can select what channels that you want to get notified are, and you can even select like a keyword phrase. So I always think these are probably for like, there's some really robust Slack communities out there that are, thousands of people belong to it. And so you have to kind of mute the noise down a little bit. We're currently sitting at 59 members, so we're still pretty quiet. People are still getting to kind of know their way around, so it's not very active yet, but I'm hoping that'll change. And so it may not seem, but eventually, if it does become, or when it becomes more active, you may feel like you need to turn the notifications down a little bit so it's not as intrusive. You can also mute channels. So let's talk about channels a little bit. And this is definitely one of the things I really, 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 really want to get some input. Only administrators can create channels, and channels are basically like groups that are around a certain topic. And so we've got a couple channels, and what channels you see will depend on your permissions and what channels you've been invited to. So on my screen over here on the left side, you can see that there's a general, and that every Slack community has a general tab. And when you join Slack, you are automatically put into the general tab. And that's how I can see that we have 60 people members right now in the general tab. And I think one of those is actually the owner, that iowagic@gmail.com. So that doesn't really count. And so you, by general, is definitely the one you will belong to by default. Then we've also created a couple other channels, a mentorship channel, random kind of being, like it says, miscellaneous, random, funny things that may be off topic, kind of a place to just put whatever comes to your mind on there. And as you can see on mine, because I'm a member of the board and a member of the outreach committee, I've got a couple channels and there's a little padlock next to it. And that indicates that it's a private channel. And so we would like to create a private group channel for committees and for groups that may want to have a private space to have group conversations, and other people can't request to join. They won't even see it. It'll be private. And so that's a really great way, because there's nothing more annoying than trying to have like a 4-way email conversation on a topic. It's not a great way to facilitate information and to respond. It can get very confusing. So one of the things that I'm hoping, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this as a lunch and learn, is I would like feedback from our members about any other channels that you think would be nice or useful for you. So like one of the suggestions I got was a how do I, so that as a place for people to kind of ask questions, maybe they're software specific questions about how they do something in ArcGIS Pro or ArcGIS Online, or how they do some data editing, or it could be, who do I contact to get this done at the state? There's just, it's basically a question and answer channel. So that's a great way for people who may not feel comfortable throwing out an email to our email list. This can be a place. And, I so encourage people, I cannot stress this enough. We are a very loose, casual group, and we have all been beginners at some point in our job, or we've all had things that we know there's other people out there that have either more experience and more expertise. So we really need to take advantage of this great resource that we have in each other. And so asking those kind of questions is a great way to do that. So what I'm looking for you is, and feel free to speak up right now, that'd be great, or to contact me later. But I would like to make sure that every committee has a channel for their committee members. And if there's any other topical type channels that we want to create, I'd be more than happy to do that. Does anyone have anything that comes to mind? Ugh, so quiet. Okay.
I just want to add too, in the upper left, if you go to that more button, you can do like a channel browser, so you can view like if there's been any additions or or anything that people have added that you might be interested in. And now Micah has some that like the regular us regular peons won't be able to see, like the board and executive committee, but all the other ones we should be able to see. So if you're like, oh, I didn't know that there was a how do I channel added, you can just easily join that one. So but yeah, we're looking for input from anyone to I guess how that all should be organized or whatnot.
And I would say also you can star a channel, and a star channel basically just kind of pins it to the top. So if there get to be several channels, like I pinned a couple up here that I'm more involved in, and that way I can see that they stay at the top. Makes it easier to find. I always picture, like I said, like Slack communities with like, 50 to 100 channels and thousands of users, how you definitely need a way to kind of organize that a little better. Okay. So then just like other social media, I'm going to jump back over to my desktop app. There are the ability to direct message people. So just like, Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or whatever, there's ways that you can have a one-on-one conversation with somebody, a private conversation. And so that's a great way to reach out to someone, especially if you don't always know their email address or their current email address, or you just kind of know their name, or they said something in one of the channels and you want to take it to a private conversation. It's a great way to do that. And so, one of the things you can do with your notifications is you can set notifications. So if they mention your name, or if you have a direct message, it doesn't always notify you. So that kind of makes you a little more aware of the direct communication and not just the noise that's going on. And you can also have group conversations this way too. So you can start a direct message, and I can type, like if I was going to do BJ, I can do BJ. Oh, by the way, BJ has a great example of his actual name and his display name. His actual name is William, but he goes by BJ. I think if we called him William, we wouldn't know who we're talking about. But I could add Matt to that conversation. And so then you can start having a 3 or 4 person conversation. And if you find yourself doing that quite a bit, especially if it's about IGIC business or a committee, let us know, and we'll make sure there's a private channel for you guys, so you don't have to always go back to that conversation to continue that kind of discussion. Not sure how to get out of this now. I'll just jump on a channel here. Okay. One of the things I really think is great about Slack is when you do link to a web page, it does a really great job, like a lot of other social media apps, of kind of giving you a preview of what's on that link. It really is robust, and you can also add a little bit of a flavor. There's some extra things you can do, like of course GIFs, or I can lock those down, but the emojis and the @ So if you want to get somebody's attention, I do highly recommend selecting someone. Like here, I've selected Matt, and if I were to do that, then Matt would get, if he's got his notification set up, which he probably does, he'd probably get notified that somebody actually said your name in this conversation. That kind of gets his attention. So the @ mentions is just a really great way to make sure you get, if you want to call someone out for whatever reason, this is a great way to do that. And like I said, I think by default, your notifications will always notify you if your name is mentioned or if you get a direct message. And then you can also choose, let's say there's a lot of noise going on in random, and you just said, I'm kind of sick of it. You can also decide to mute a channel. So that means any conversation or anything that goes on in that channel, you won't ever get notified about it. And that is a great way to quiet down the channels that don't pertain to you or your interests. You can also see the option to leave the channel at that time too. One thing, Josh, you're probably the best keeper, even though I'm the secretary, I should know this, but we probably should create a private channel for all the committees. I would also, the committee chairs will be invited to that. And I guess that would be a great way to maybe make sure that the people that are on your committees that you chair have actually joined Slack. So that would be a great way to reach out to them and encourage them to join, to be part of that conversation. Okay. I think that's about all the stuff I kind of wanted. Mostly I wanted to make sure that people knew that we were having this, and that that what the information was to join that. Matt, can you think of anything I might have left off?
No, I think you've done a great job just kind of giving a good overview and showing a lot of the tools. One thing that's really minor, but some people really like it, is you can change your theme to be like a dark theme.
Mm.
So I think, and then there's also a couple other ones I just noticed. There's one called Hoth, which I assume is like, the snowy ice planet of Hoth. In the Yeah, maybe it's under preferences. Yeah, there you go. So you can sync with your OS like at the top. You can change dark, or you can scroll down, and there's a couple more options that I haven't really like. I don't know, just other
You really
other
into
colors.
purple? Yeah.
So I don't know. Some people like it. The dark theme, I've changed it to the dark theme just because I don't know. It's just easier on my eyes, I guess. So
Yep.
discotheque. You seem like a discotheque person, Micah.
Just go check. I don't know. Banana might be doing it for me. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. There's quite a bit of customization that you can do. Yep. I kind of waver between dark and light. It kind of, I don't know. I'm all over the place a little bit. Not very consistent.
There's some discussion too about I guess Rachel and Amy both said the random channel, should it be for cat pictures or not? Things like that. I would argue that it should be for stuff that's just fun. Like if you're gonna do like serious questions about GIS, there's the How Do I channel, which probably fits that best, and there's some other ones, but I don't know. I feel like we need a fun one. Like who's that guy Fieri? I see him in that photo in random. It's a perfect thing to add to the random channel.
Hey, that was very important. Gerrymandering election. Yeah. And I would echo with Matt. The random channel is to exactly that. I know one of the Slack communities that I was with, there was a guy that really liked to post like dad jokes on Fridays, that kind of stuff. So, it is intended to be irreverent, off topic, not vulgar, but off topic, and just kind of a place. Because I don't know about you guys, but when we get together in person and have our conferences and meetings and stuff, there's a lot of shenanigans and random discussions that happen. And so this is trying to mimic and encourage that kind of thing. I know when I was first trying out the channel, I was in a mood one morning, and I think we all took pictures of what we were seeing outside of our at-home offices and stuff like that. So, random. That's the whole point. And this kind of goes along. We totally welcome if you think there's a channel you would like one, maybe just for Esri or just ArcGIS Online or just for open source GIS platform, or a channel for dealing with state data and state issues. Really, the sky's the limit. And we can always create a channel, and it can always be removed if we find out that it's not really working for us. So definitely, I want to put channels. I'm happy to throw out lots of channels. I just want to make sure that it's just not like the world according to Micah. I want to make sure. Oh, I like that. But I want to make sure that the channels are representative of our membership. And unfortunately, people. Robin McNeely tested this for me, but oh, there we go. Cat, like it. Not everybody can create a channel, which is probably really great because, if you had 60 people and their opinions, it could get a little convoluted. But the administrators of Slack definitely don't want to make it feel like we're curating the experience. We want to make sure that that the setup of Slack and the topics and all that are reflective of our membership. So,
Hey, Mike, I got a question.
Go for it.
So, and you might have said this and I just misinterpreted it, but can everybody see what channels that there are, and then they just can't go in there unless they have the rights to it?
Right. You know what? No, the ones that are secretive, like the board channel, the only people that see the board channel are the ones that are members of that channel. The open ones that just have a hashtag in front of it, everyone can see those. They should be able to see those, and they should be able to join the channel. And I think the best way to do that, if you're not sure I think you can either click on it and say join. You can add people if you, at least I can. I guess I don't know if everyone else can. And I have to preface it by saying, obviously, I have administrative rights. So there are things that are going to be on this Slack that maybe isn't shown up. Robin or Matt, what do you see? Do you see all the ones even if you don't belong to them?
No, I don't see any of the locked ones that are like the board one, but I can add people to like the random or
Okay.
general one.
So yeah, so
Same
you
here. Yeah, I don't see the board either.
okay, good. I mean, that's the way I understand it to be, but so yeah, anybody can add somebody else to the open channels. That's what we'll call them, open channels. um and unfortunately, you can't create new open channels, but all you need to do is direct message me or Josh, but I'm sure Josh should be happy to say Micah can take care of it. But just direct message me and we'll get a channel created if you've got an idea. Jim G reached out to me and kind of suggested the how do I, and Robin's group really wanted a mentorship channel. So, just have to reach out. And sometimes I've struggled a little bit with what to call things. So I'm always open to some suggestions. Once you name a channel, you can't change it. So I do try to put a little bit of thought into what we name the channels. You get in a weird mood. I don't want any snarky names, so I try to avoid that. One of the things that while I'm thinking of it, under that more that Matt mentioned, the channel browser, any of the open channels, you can just kind of go through and you can just, like, I'm not a member of the education committee, and that's an open channel, which, by the way, guys, I know you want suggestions from the committee, but if you guys want a private channel for discussion, let me know. But if you wanted to join and be a part of that community, just hit join. Any other suggestions or questions or random things? I cannot see the chat, Matt, so if there's anything that you see on the chat, let me know.
I think we've kind of covered everything. Looking through there real quick, but thank you for doing this. I think you did a great job giving a good overview. I just want to kind of echo that it's been a strange year for a lot of people. So these kind of online groups and online interaction, or whatever you want to say, is helpful, I think, to a lot of people. So we haven't had anything in person for for IGIC, and sometimes it's not easy to do some of this chatting at an IGIC board meeting or anything like that. So this is kind of something to do in between times, or if you think of something, or you're like, there's somebody out there that has to know this certain question or this certain problem I'm having with since it's new, you might want to tag some people or just throw out the question, and then you get some good conversations going. So I'm hoping that everyone will think it's helpful and a good tool. So, but since it's new, we're open to feedback, and yeah, I mean, I think everything's going great so far. There's been a lot of good discussion, and yeah, we just need to get some more people active on it, and yeah, I don't know, pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and I promise it's for those people that are new. By the way, we do have somebody new who's joined, Nicole. I saw you jumped in, and she's a new GIS coordinator for Marion County. And who doesn't really know people as well. I really encourage people to post a question or say hi. It's just a really great way to maybe not feel quite so isolated. As Matt and I were talking yesterday in preparation for this meeting, even if it wasn't 2020 COVID, et cetera, often in our organizations and counties and state, we're the only people that do what we do. It's a rare organization that just has they have a whole entire GIS team. And so I think it's really important that we reach out to our fellow colleagues, because we are often isolated in the best of times. And we got to pick all the brains of the people that have such these awesome resources, because it just makes us all look better and more knowledgeable. What can I say?
Micah, this is DJ. One of the struggles that I've found in my GIS career is that I have trouble trying to translate what I am able to do for people in different areas with different backgrounds. I'm just curious if anybody else has had that same experience, and maybe if we should have like a professional translation board.
How to talk maps.
Yeah, you know, maps for accountants and stuff like that.
Oh, yes. It has been easier since Google Maps came around in the mid 2000s, though, early 2000s.
BJ, you can chair that committee.
Just wanted a channel.
Okay, we can start small.
Channels are the new committees. Excellent. Well, I've seen, as you can see, I have the Slack notifies me of the people who've joined. So we've had 6 people join just since our meeting started. So awesome. Fabulous. Make sure you guys fill out your profiles with your name and throw a picture up there. Darn it. Let's see what everybody, choose your best picture. You don't have to be realistic, just your best version of yourself. Any other questions? So I'm going to make a content as somebody who emails the IGIC group regularly. I'm trying to make a concentrated effort to always put everything on our website, put it into Slack, and and then stick it on our email too. So, and I do encourage people. I mean, we don't want our email list to go away. Email plays a very important role. It's archived. It's a great way to reach out to people. But definitely encourage, if it's turning into a conversation, to maybe encourage it to happen on Slack so that even other people can feel like they can join the conversation.
Before I forget, Mike, I want to say that you also have, I think they're called Workspaces. On the upper left, you can see the one that's highlighted with the IGIC one with the red number 1, but there's also the iTag one, which I will start to Josh and I will encourage people to use, but that's from last year. That's old crap. But wait a minute, no, that's new stuff. But anyway, if you're part of other organizations that use Slack, they'll just all start to, stack on the left-hand side there, so you can switch between them, which is really kind of handy. So,
And
is there like an Iowa State one or something, or maybe not? But anyway.
And which workspace you're in, because I use the little blue gold that's part of the IGIC logo as a workspace icon. So that kind of, and then it says, if you hover over it, says Iowa Geographic Information Council. So I know a couple people who had existing Slack accounts had trouble logging in and making sure they use the right login and stuff like that. So if you need it sent, and a special invite sent to a particular email, if that makes it easier or something like that, I'm happy to do that. It's a really quick thing for me to do. So, just send me an email or reach out to me, or and I'll get that for you. No problem. All right. And if you already have an existing workspace, or if you already are in Slack, if you hover over the button and add a workspace, then you can sign into another workspace, or go ahead and search ones. So if you sign into another workspace, what happens is it opens up a browser somewhere. Oh, here it is on my other screen. Let me throw this over here so you can see that. What happens is it opens up in the browser, and this is where you can, it sees the ones I'm already part of, but you can use your email and kind of log into it that way. The link is definitely the easiest way to do it, if someone sends you an invite link. So I always encourage people to start that way if they can. And I probably will send it out a few more times over the next month or two, just to encourage people, if they hadn't taken the time to sign up, to do it. And Josh, you and I will, or anybody else who joins, Josh is, when anyone joins the email list, if you want to let me know, I will reach out to them and send them a link and stuff so that they can also get on that right away. If that's it, I want to make sure and tell everyone Merry Christmas before they go.
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New
Um,
Year.
Yep. And like I said, you know, reach out on Slack if you have any new suggestions. And if you're not sure how to do something, please, please, please do ask.
And we have the January one set up, correct?
Yes. So the January, thank you, Josh. The January Lunch and Learn is going to be, we're going to have Jody Flory, I think her last name is, she works with the state, talking about the census and redistricting. And so even if you're not directly involved in redistricting, this happens every 10 years based on the census, very GIS intensive, very cool. And I think most people will find it really interesting, even if it's not part of your day-to-day duties. And we'll be sending out a calendar invite and email information about that. I think it's, give me 1 second. I can tell you I think it's the 3rd week of January. Does that sound right?
The Lunch and Learn is the 2nd week of January.
The 13th?
The IGIC,
Yes.
the board meeting would be the 3rd week.
Okay. Yep. Good. Thank you. Yep. January 13th will be the next Lunch and Learn, and January 20th will be the next IGIC board meeting, of which everybody is open to attend if they so desire. Board members gotta attend.
And that one won't be like previous board meetings where it'll be an all-day thing. This will just focus on business items.
Right. Yep. All right. Does anyone else got anything they want to say? This is kind of open discussion time about Slack or anything else. All right. Well, I guess with that, then I will tell you guys all Merry Christmas and we'll talk after the new year.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.